wanted to show you what I've finished painting recently for the game Congo. At the front here I've got a column of African kingdoms. So these figures are all from Wargames Foundry. This is the box set they do for the African kingdoms, and it's 70 points worth. Starting with two characters. This character represents the king, and a lot of these figures are taken from Wargames Foundry's Azande group of figures for Darkest Africa. Not all of them, but a lot of them have this sort of feathered pom-pom and the other character is the war drum, which is this guy here. I had a bit of an issue with which way up to place the drum, because in the set of rules and on part of Wargames Foundry's website they actually have this drum the other way round, but after some discussion on the Studiotomahawk forum we came to the conclusion, because a guy called Lee very kindly posted up a photograph on the forum that he got from the internet of the sort of thing that I was thinking of, that those two hollowed out rectangles at the top of the drum are actually used to kind of change the sort of percussive note as you hit around the top of the drum, whereas the book actually shows this figure with the drum the other way round, with the kind of concave surface, large sort of surface to beat on. But I thought there's no reason to put those slots in it unless they were done deliberately for a reason. So that's what first made me think, and then I was sure I could remember seeing images of a drum like that. So anyway, we came to the conclusion that is the correct way up. So ignore the book. As with all the other characters in the rules, each particular character gives you a different ability. The chieftain allows you to to remove stress tokens from groups within 8 inches of him when he engages in melee, if he rolls successfully on 2 d8s. And each turn the war drum allows you to exchange stress tokens, a pair of stress tokens between either friendly or enemy groups. So it means you can change the weighting of a group so that it has more of a particular type of stress token, for instance. Right, then we come on to the actual groups that are in the box, and you have 5 young warriors. So again, these young warriors are exactly the same figures as you get with the forest tribes and with the white men expeditions. So exactly the same group, which means you can move it from one column to another. And similar thing with these 3 figures here. These are scouts, which are the same figures as you get with the Forest Tribes box set. And again, they come without shields, which is the only way you can really distinguish them from the other warriors in the column, even though they're definitely supposed to be carrying shields. They're taken from the warriors with sculpted hair on Wargames Foundry's site. Let's talk about these next. Right, so these 4 figures represent a group of fanatical warriors. Now, they're female figures. I'm not entirely comfortable with these figures, I have to admit. there's been a long kind of long established kind of trend for Wargames figure manufacturers to sculpt half naked or fully naked female figures, and it kind of caters to the sort of pervy market as far as I'm concerned. But at the same time, I'm quite happy for female warriors to be portrayed in an army. But I would much rather manufacturers went down the route of Annie Norman at the Dicebag Ladies company, who are attempting to kind of sell believable female characters. Now there's a difference when it comes to Africa, because there was so much nakedness anyway, but going by some of Wargame Foundry's other ranges, for instance, their Valkyrie female Viking figures, a lot of those have bare breasts and so on, and I just think that's totally unnecessary. And when you compare that to the Dicebag Ladies, Shield Maidens, you get an impression of what I'm trying to say. So given that Wargames Foundry produced both those Valkyrie figures and these, I would say these are probably catering more to that pervy market than they are to historical reality. I don't know how many African tribes actually did field female warriors. I haven't come across many references to such in my limited experience. So I would much rather that they had put in another group of figures. I'm not trying to exclude female interests from wargaming. I think that's probably anti-feminist. Enough said. Okay, right. These are a group of 5 figures. They are Askari, so they're armed with muskets. Again, you can see a couple of them have got the feathered plumes on their hats. This figure you might recognise as well. I've now got a spare of him, because I had already received many years ago a free sample, which was that figure that I painted up and showed you in, I think it was in the White Men Expeditions film. So 5 figures armed with muskets. And then finally for the African kingdoms, we have a group of 5 married warriors. So these have all got the feathered hats to distinguish them from the young warriors. So 70 points. There are other groupings that you could put inside a column of African kingdoms. So look in the rule book. Yeah, they could have archers, ruga, some bodyguards, 4-figure bodyguards. That's on top of what you've just seen, so there's plenty of ways to supplement it. And there are another 4 characters that you might want to add: a witch doctor, a war horn, a war chief, or the prince. Right, and then at the back here we've got another box set from Wargames Foundry, which is their adventure pack, which is a kind of mix of items that you might find useful in some of the scenarios for Congo. Couple of figures that described as hostages, same comment. Very difficult to know sort of what side to take on these nude figures or half naked figures. And again, the princess, same issue. Then you've got this figure here, which is not mercenary, a missionary, Father Marcelin, who features in one of the scenarios. You've got 4 bearers, which I really like these figures. These are great. So you can place 2 bearers with any, I think it's 2 bearers with any one faction. Can't remember, but that's plenty of bearers for any game you need. And they can go with their auxiliary figures for either the White Men expeditions or the Sultanate of Zanzibar, but you can't put them with the African kingdoms or the forest tribes. They have, can't remember what they're called now, sacred warriors, something like that. You have 4 of these totem poles, which can serve as objective markers or totems. They come in useful for the Kong scenario, but I'm sure there'll be other uses for them as well. There is a gorilla. So the gorilla is useful in the Kong scenario, but also when you're playing dangerous animals as a theme in the scenario, then gorillas can attack you when you pass through dangerous terrain, I believe. That's not quite right, actually. There are cases where gorillas come out of the scenery. I can't remember exactly what it is now. I have to go back to the rules. And the same goes for savannah. You can have lions attacking you. And then finally, 2 crocodiles, which you require for one particular scenario, which takes place crossing a river. So they are related to the scenario itself rather than to the sort of wild animals rule that you can apply to certain scenarios. And that's it. So next up I will be painting, or I've just started painting, the Sultanate of Zanzibar, which are quite a nice group of figures to paint, very sort of colourful. You can add a few splashes of colour on them. But that's all I wanted to show you for today, so thanks very much for watching, and see you on the next video. Bye for now.